You know that gut punch satisfaction when someone who's been pushing all the wrong buttons finally gets what's coming? This isn't just a story about some greedy suit trying to bulldoze something sacred. It's about what happens when you poke Mother Nature one too many times. My name's Daniel Harper, and for 15 years, I lived quietly on a slice of Florida's Everglades, a place where the sunrise turns the water into a living canvas. That was until they decided to slap 72 luxury condos right on top of it, thinking their money could buy anything. They forgot one thing you can't put a price on: nature's wrath. When she's mad, she doesn't send a cease and desist letter, she sends a hurricane. Stick around to see how the wild fights back. Drop a comment below and tell me where you're tuning in from. For over a decade, I called the Everglades home, a sprawling wetland in South Florida where the air hums with life. At 60, retired from my days as an environmental scientist, I thought I'd found my forever. Every morning, I'd wander through the marshes, checking on the herons and tracking water levels, the quiet rhythm of birds and ripples keeping me grounded. This wasn't just land, it was part of me, woven into my soul. I'm a calm guy, but mess with what I love, and I dig my heels in hard. Then came Victoria Langston, our HOA president, strutting onto my property like she owned the deed to my heart. Picture a 55-year-old in a tailored blazer, stilettos sinking into the muck, her manicured nails tapping out her impatience. She had this look, like I was a bug she'd rather squash than acknowledge. "Mr. Harper," she said, her eyes scanning my sanctuary like it was a vacant lot. "This swamp is dragging down property values. We've got big plans development that'll lift everyone up." I clenched my fists, staring at the ecosystem I'd spent years protecting. "This isn't a swamp, Victoria. It's a living system, decades in the making." Her smile was sharp enough to cut glass. "Call it what you want, Daniel. Change is coming, with or without you." The way she lingered on, with or without, sent a chill down my spine. I should have known then she wasn't just talking, she was declaring war. A week later, the real ambush hit at an emergency HOA meeting in the community center. I walked in expecting talk of streetlights or parking rules, but instead, I got a slick presentation for Paradise Shores Resort. 72 luxury condos plopped right on my wetlands. Victoria stood there like a corporate shark, flashing architectural renders and profit charts, acting like it was a done deal. Topographical maps, glossy brochures of smiling families, and environmental reports that looked thinner than a napkin. It was all too polished, too fast. "You're paving over a protected ecosystem for vacation rentals?" I asked, my voice shaking. Her smile widened, cold as a winter tide. "Progress requires tough calls, Mr. Harper. Smart people get on board." The room buzzed as my neighbors, folks I'd shared coffee with, who'd admired the egrets from their porches, lit up with dollar signs in their eyes. Mrs. Callahan, who loved watching spoonbills, was nodding about enhanced water access. Tom Rivera, who'd envied my quiet mornings, grilled Victoria on rental profits. I sat there, watching my world unravel, their chatter about windfalls drowning out the herons' calls I knew so well. That night, walking home past the moonlit marshes, I felt the weight of a fight I wasn't sure I could win. Days bled into nights as I pored over legal documents, drowning in jargon until a footnote stopped me cold. The Florida Wetlands Conservation Act of 1985. It was clear as day any construction on sensitive wetlands needed federal permits, not just local nods. Victoria's timeline was a fantasy if she planned to follow the law, which she clearly didn't. I fired off an email to Sarah Mitchell, a sharp environmental lawyer who cut through legalese like a hot knife. "Your land's got top-tier federal protection," she told me, her voice steady. "They can't touch it without jumping through serious hoops." Relief hit me like a wave, but Sarah's next words pulled me back. "People like Victoria don't let laws stop them. How far are you willing to go?" Staring out at the marshes, I knew my answer. All the way. Victoria didn't waste time. Within 48 hours of my legal filing, the intimidation kicked into gear. Letters from the HOA's lawyer, Greg Sullivan, flooded my mailbox, accusing me of obstructing community progress. My property taxes quadrupled overnight, pinned on some vague development potential. Power outages hit my street alone, my internet flickered, and city inspectors started sniffing around for violations. It was death by 1,000 cuts, And when my taxes jumped from $900 to $3,600, I stopped calling it paranoia. Armed with the law, I filed an objection that forced a 60-day permit freeze. I celebrated quietly, sipping tea as herons hunted in the shallows, thinking I'd found my silver bullet. I was naive. Victoria wasn't playing by the rules, she was rewriting them. Digging deeper, I stumbled on a bombshell in public records. The county commissioner overseeing our case had pocketed $30,000 from a shell company tied to the HOA. The corruption wasn't just local, it reached into state agencies, a web of payoffs ensuring Victoria's project sailed through. My complaint vanished into a bureaucratic void. Every call bounced between agencies until I was screaming into voicemails. Then came the knockout punch, a sheriff's deputy in Victoria at my door, handing me a fake, structural violation notice demanding $25,000 in repairs or my home would be bulldozed. "You're making a mistake, Daniel," she hissed. "Stop now, or I'll bury you." 15 years of protecting this land had taught me patience. "Victoria," I said, "you're about to learn what that means." Sarah's eyes widened when I showed her the evidence. "This isn't just an HOA fight, it's a system." An anonymous leak revealed Victoria's full playbook: fake supporters at hearings, petitions with names pulled from gravestones, and pre-bought inspector approvals. It was fraud on steroids. I turned into a one-man investigative team, hiding cameras to catch workers dumping concrete sludge into the marshes blatantly illegal. Construction crews spilled secrets over lunch. 18-foot pilings instead of the required 30, concrete 30% weaker than code. "These condos won't survive a storm," one foreman muttered, "but they're rushing to sell before anyone notices." My hands shook as I filmed, rage boiling as I watched them poison my sanctuary. Then I found ETA 1965 University of Florida study showing the Everglades as a natural hurricane buffer, slashing inland flooding by 70%. Victoria's condos weren't just killing wildlife, they were endangering entire towns. With hurricane season looming, I built a digital archive with a dead man's switch, set to blast evidence to news outlets and feds if my power cut out. Hurricane Zara was forming, a Category 4 beast tracking straight for us, its path matching the study's worst-case scenario. As threats rolled in, "We know what you're doing," I fortified my home, hurricane shutters rated for Category 5, and waited. Was I crazy to risk everything? Maybe. But watching displaced herons scramble for nesting spots, I knew someone had to fight for them. Zara hit like a sledgehammer, 145 miles per hour winds and a 28-foot surge roaring inland. From my reinforced second floor, I filmed as the condos didn't just flood, they disintegrated. Walls shattered, roofs sailed off, cheap concrete dissolving like sandcastles. It was terrifying and righteous, nature's verdict delivered in hours. My archive uploaded as power failed, and Hurricane Justice went viral, millions sharing footage of condos vanishing while my voiceover exposed the fraud. My home, built to respect the land, stood firm, its elevated design channeling floodwaters as the study predicted. Victoria's $18 million resort was gone, leaving only debris and her standing in the muck, clutching a soggy chair like it could save her. The fallout was swift. The FBI arrested Victoria and Greg for fraud, bribery, and environmental crimes. Federal prosecutors used my evidence footage, worker confessions, and the 1965 study to nail them. Victoria got 22 years and $18 million in restitution. Greg, 16 years and disbarment. Commissioners took 512-year sentences. Insurance companies denied all claims, sparking a massive lawsuit from condo buyers. The Florida Department of Environmental Protection granted my wetlands permanent status, and within months, herons and spoonbills returned, the ecosystem healing faster than anyone expected. My tax violations were dropped, and I got a stewardship exemption, but the victory tasted bitter. I'd won, but my faith in the system was in tatters. Standing in the restored marshes, watching egrets nest where bulldozers once roared, I wondered what it all meant. I'd taken down a corrupt empire, but could the land ever be whole again? Nature had spoken, but at what cost? Drop a comment. Would you risk everything to fight for what's right, even if it meant facing a hurricane? Should greed like this face harsher punishment, or did nature's justice go too far? Hit like, subscribe, And tell me, where do you stand when money and nature collide?